First endured, you put up with it, you tolerate it. Then pitied, you start feeling sorry for it. And then embraced. It's embraced. It becomes normal. The Prophet ﷺ said, كيف بكم إذا أصبح المنكر عندكم معروفا. How will it be when what is vice to you today becomes virtue tomorrow? And they said, أَيَكُونُ ذَلِكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ? Would that ever be, Ya Rasulullah? And he said, بَلْ أَشَدْ, even worse than that. And they said, what could be worse than that? كَيْفَ بِكُمْ إِذَا تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمُنْكَرِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمَعْرُوفِ. How will you be when you begin to condemn virtue and encourage vice? Now, if you look at our young people are growing up in a culture in which evil is cultivated. Vice is cultivated. If you go to universities today, it used to be that many people in this country, especially women, this is a fact of American history, women, when they started going to colleges, because initially they went to all-girls colleges, all-girls schools, but when they began co-ed education, many women went to university to get married, to find their spouse. That was part of the university experience. You went to find your spouse. Now, and for those of you who know the history of Facebook, Facebook was designed by some computer geniuses to not find potential spouses, but to find potential sources of sin. It was literally designed to get girls to put up their pictures, what their hobbies are, and then you could meet them online, and A leads to B, and B leads to C, and before you know it, you're at H, which stands for H-E-L-L. This is where this culture is going. And you don't need to have a crystal ball. All you have to do is look at where we've come from and where we're going. In the 1960s, if a woman and a male in a college in the United States were found in the same room together, they would be expelled from the school. That was only the 60s. The idea of the type of dress that you see, all of these things, it's become normative. So young people that go to colleges now, go to colleges and they're surrounded by an environment that is antithetical to everything that they've been taught in their homes if they've come from good Muslim homes. This is a cultural shock for many of them. Because you're sending an 18-year-old girl who you have raised, nurtured, loved, and cared about, and you're sending her into an environment that has literally wolves. I mean, this is the reality. So it's really important for us to understand that education in the United States has completely changed. It has lost its course. It's gone way off. In Islam, education, we call it tarbiyah and ta'lim. Tarbiyah is the same idea of educare, which is a Latin word. People always make jokes about me explaining words, but words are important. The Quran is kalimat. The Quran is words, and if you don't know what the words mean, you'll never know what God meant. And our tradition is a tradition of analyzing words. The reason that I do that so often is because I've spent 30 years reading books by people like Fakhruddin al-Razi and Imam al-Ghazali, who that's all they talk about is words. Because words, this is what the human being is grounded in language. We are language producers. It is what makes us unique. It's the reason why we're not herded with animals and beasts. Because we can articulate, we can speak. It's what gives us power. But the word education comes from a Latin word which means to lead out of, to draw out of. Tarbiyah is a word in Arabic which means to nurture. Most of our scholars say Rabbul Alameen is the nurturer of the world. Allah is the one yurabbi al-alamin. He is the one that takes the seedling. He creates the seedling, but then He takes the seedling, He brings the sprout into existence. The sprout becomes and then it grows, and then it bears fruit. That takes nurturing. If you look in nature, trees invariably end up upright. But when we plant trees, if you notice when the municipalities plant trees, they have to put 2 sticks on both sides and bind it to make sure that it doesn't go off. Because humans can't do what God does naturally. We need that help. Education is supposed to be those 2 sticks for your child. That's what a good school and a good education should be. Those 2 sticks that help it grow straight, upright, naturally, but with that aid of learning, the acquisition of knowledge. Education, first and foremost, is not to get a job. And that is never how Islam has been seeing education. The Prophet ﷺ said that one of the signs of the latter days, he said, يَتَعَلَّمَ النَّاسُ لِغَيْرِ وَجْهِ اللَّهِ. People will learn for other than the sake of Allah. If you do something for a job, that's not for the sake of Allah. If you do something for a diploma, it's not for the sake of Allah. You're going to get something else. If you learn knowledge in order to turn heads, the Prophet ﷺ said it's one of the things that will take people to the hellfire. Imams that learn knowledge in order to impress other people and turn their heads. Knowledge is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the foundation of our belief about knowledge. Now the other aspect of it is that knowledge should humble you. It should not make you arrogant. It should actually humble you. The more you learn, the humbler you should become. Because the weight of knowledge, realizing what that means, the responsibility of carrying knowledge, the responsibility of transmitting knowledge, the importance of living in accordance with your knowledge, the importance of not being a hypocrite. Those are the things that should be foremost in the acquisition of knowledge. Imam al-Ghazali says that as a person learns, the knowledge should be like fruit. The more you get, the heavier the tree gets, and the closer the branches come to the earth. It should weigh you down. سَنُلْقِي عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. We will thrust upon you a weighty word, the Quran says. A weighty word. This is a weight. We're called the thaqalain, the 2 heavy things, because we have a heavy burden. We have the burden of free will. We have the burden of this responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given human beings to carry this. We live in an age of entertainment. In Arabic, entertainment is called lahu. Lahu. This is an age of entertainment. Everybody is being entertained. News has become entertainment. Education has become entertainment. They actually have a word, infotainment. News has become the most entertaining news today watched by young people is by a comedian who tells more truth in his news than most of the major news networks. Lahu in Arabic is ma yashghaluka amma ya'nika. It's what preoccupies you from what you should be doing. And this is why when Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, he was an Andalusian who came to study in Medina. He wanted to study with Imam Malik. And when he came, an elephant came into the city, and somebody came into the majlis of Imam Malik and said, Subhanallah, Jafir. And all the students, like people often do, they all laughed to go see the elephant because they hadn't seen an elephant before. Entertainment. And Imam Malik was left there, and Yahya ibn Yahya was the only student left. And Malik said to him, don't you want to go see the elephant? He said, أنا ما أتيت هنا لأرى الأفيال أتيت هنا لأخذ عن الرجال. He said, I didn't come here to see elephants. I came here to take knowledge from great men. And Imam Malik made a dua for him